Welcome back for another strategy video on Clans of Caledonia. My name is Ollie Helm. In this gameplay commentary video, I will play as Clan Campbell. Like I've done in past commentary videos, I'll give my overall thoughts of what I am seeing and thinking about at the beginning of each round, and then advance the game to key moments where an interesting or difficult decision was made. Clans Campbell, Cunningham, and McEwen are up for auction. The ports tell the story right away regarding my clan preferences. The switcheroo port is great for Campbell, and there is no basic port to help Cunningham or McEwen. Regarding contracts, the number one contract is in the game, and the other contracts are not exciting at all. There's nothing special about the board layout to consider. I expect we will all play a worker around the 10-pound port. For Cunningham and McEwen, the second worker will be around the reuse port, while for Campbell, it will be by the switcheroo port. There's room for everyone. The glory tiles are really interesting. There is the meat glory tile, making the one sheep, one cheese contract even better. The first round glory is for workers, which will disadvantage Cunningham given their focus on cows in the first round. Given the two cash ports, Cunningham should be able to get all 4 cows down along with 3 workers, maybe 4. Campbell will place cheap cheese factories down, but should also be able to get 4 workers down, maybe 5. McEwen can just focus on workers, as there's no need to put grain down given the contracts on the board. So they should get at least 5 and maybe 6 workers down. Finally, there are also glory points for edge tiles, so I expect that to affect worker placements as well, with these tiles being valuable. To sum up, Campbell is by far the best clan because not only does it have its favorite port, but it would also be able to complete the first contract and get another good one with the building bonus. Campbell also has a good shot at gaining an extra 2 points in round 1 glory, so I'm bidding really high, certainly into the 20s. I got Campbell at 17, which is lower than I expected, and Cunningham went for about half that, so I only need to make up 9 points. 8 of those will be made up on completing the first contract at a net cost of -1 pound, so I'm in a good position to start. Although not an edge tile, the minor 1 hex is still the best place to start. My first turn will be to take the contract, so if I start on the edge, then Cunningham will beat me to the island 1 hex, making it much more costly to get to the port. The worker placements around the 2 ports are mostly what I would expect, and this sets up an interesting play for me. I need to get to the switcheroo port, but it would also be nice to get these 2 edge 1 hexes, and with McEwen threatening, I can just start on the forest 1 hex and still make it to the port. At the same time, the board is wide open, so I need to get to the central lock as well. My plan will be to take this route, so we'll see how it goes. This 5 hex will be played on with my free expansion from the contract. Round 1. I already described my plan, so let's play the moves. Everything is progressing as planned. I bought the cheese for 1 pound less, that was nice. I'm at the central lock, so now it is time for the building bonus. Nice! The 3 cow, 1 bread contract is a big contract to complete, but it is the number 12 contract at the start of the game, and with bread now only costing 8 pounds, it is the number 9 contract. I remember one game I played Campbell, where I placed 4 cheese factories down, and one of the other players messaged me saying, "You know you need to put cows down to produce cheese, right?" It was quite comical, given that it came from a player with a much lower ELO than me, but they did have a point. This is why the switcheroo port is so valuable to Campbell. I can solve my cow problem by switching 2 cheese factories for cows, and voila, problem solved. But why it's better for Campbell than other clans is because it only costs me 7 pounds to place the last 2 cheese factories, compared to 16 pounds for other clans. And I get to place these 2 cheap cheese factories down again, including my last move in this round. I could have played on this 1 hex, but seeing that Cunningham is coming across the top, it was better to move in that direction in hopes of securing the cheap edge 1 hexes in round 2, or at least making it more costly for Cunningham to get to the central lock by taking out this 2 hex. The first round went really well for me. Clan benefit was 20 pounds from placing 5 cheese factories down, with the last cheese factory placement made possible by the switcheroo port. Neither Cunningham nor McEwen had a first round benefit. Round 2. The main goal is to get to the port to raise the price of cheese in the market and place workers down. I'll try to get to this 1 hex, but I expect Cunningham will play here for their first move and then beat me across to the other 1 hex. Cunningham played as expected, so I'll still go on the 2 hex to get a worker down and make it a little bit more expensive for Cunningham to get to the central lock. Now that the 1 hex is taken, I may as well go to the port. Often, the trading port is not that great, but in this case, not only do I get an extra £9 for selling 3 cheeses, but in the next round, each of my cheese will sell for £3 more than it would have. Well, actually, if McEwen sells their cheese at only £2, as the market price will be at £9 instead of £7. Regardless, one could argue that this port is worth more than £9 to me. I place a whiskey down instead of a bread because it is worth more. For the extra £2 cost, I get £3 more in the market. So I can sell the whiskey and buy the bread if I need to, and still have an extra £1 left over. Clown benefit was only £3 for placing 1 factory down. Round 3. The goal is to place my last 2 workers down and get edge tiles. I may try to complete the contract if I can keep my 1 hexes that have cows, as there is the nice 1 wool 4 whiskey contract I can prepare for afterwards. McEwen buying cheese is nice because not only does it raise the price of cheese for me to sell at, but it means that I will have enough money to wait out McEwen so that they have no money to take my 1 hexes. With McEwen's placement of cheese, they are now out of money so I can safely slaughter my cows. For my next contract, I would need 4 whiskey, but yeah, I sold my whiskey, even though I will only produce 3 for the next round. I see beginning players do this often. That is, they keep a processed good because they need it for their contract in the next round. I sell the good because first, I can buy it back in the next round for £1 cheaper. And second, and more importantly, I can use £11 from the sale immediately to produce something else for the next round. Clan benefit was £11 for placing 2 whiskey factories and 1 bread factory. Round 4. Time to complete more contracts. I am well ahead on settlements, so no immediate worry there. However, there is no ability to buy cheap bread or whiskey, so it makes sense to at least put down a wheat and 2 bread factories, and maybe a sheep if I still have some money left over. A nice 1 hex next to a cheese suddenly appeared, so how can I resist but to buy 3 cheap cheeses? There is a nice 1 wool 3 cheese contract available, and the extra cheese will likely be useful in the next round somehow. So, I got the bread down and a sheep, completed a couple of contracts, and have a lot of processed goods for round 5. Clan benefit was £8 for placing the 2 bread factories down. Round 5. As usual, let's start with a look at the relative standings entering the last round. I am at 16 points with an additional 58 points from export goods, 26 points from basic and processed goods, and will earn 18 points for most settlements for a total of 118. Cunningham is at 40 points with an additional 54 points from export goods, 15 for basic and processed goods, and will likely finish with the least settlements gaining 6 points for a total of 115. McEwen is at 12 points with an additional 29 points from export goods, 20 points from basic and processed goods, and will likely earn 12 points for settlements for a total of 73 points. With more money in processed goods, I will likely earn more points in the last round as well, so I am in a really good position to win. Now let's look at the contracts. If all contracts on the board, plus the 2 that Cunningham and McEwen have, are completed, there will be 20 cotton, 12 tobacco, and 27 sugarcane. That makes the 2 whiskey contract by far the most valuable contract on the board, especially since I have 0 tobacco at the moment. My turn for a contract. I'm not excited about the remaining contracts. I don't particularly want sugarcane, and the remaining cotton contract is almost always one of the worst contracts throughout the game. I could go for a building bonus, but I think I have a chance of completing 4 more contracts, so 3 will be from building bonuses, and thus I need to do 1 more from the board. So better to do it now, so I get to choose the best of the rest. I need cash from the contracts to make this work, so that makes the 2 wool, 1 cheese, 1 whiskey contract a good choice. Time for a building bonus contract. Ha! Here's all the tobacco. All are good, big 4 tobacco contracts. The one with whiskey is too costly because I need to buy expensive whiskey. The 3 sheep contract requires me to put down 2 more sheep, which is a bit less costly, while the one with the cow only requires me to buy a wool, which I can do with a neighborhood bonus, and it has a free expansion. That expansion can be used to go on this 6x in hopes of getting cheap whiskey for the next contract. So this is the best contract for me. Contract completed. Expansion played. More new contracts to choose from. Fantastic! There's another big 4 tobacco contract. And I can get 2 cheap whiskey too. Oops! I took the cotton contract? Not sure what I was thinking, but it seems like that was a mistake. Maybe it was that this cow represents 7 settlements, so I did not want to slaughter it, but then I could have just gotten another shipping to reconnect the settlements. Oh well. Contract completed, and here's hoping for one last contract. Too bad the contract bonuses weren't reversed, as the 2 red contract would have brought in much needed cash. No harm though, as it is still a solid victory. Clan benefit for the round was £15 for a total benefit of £57 for the game. A very strong first round won the game for Campbell, as I was able to get the engine rolling early, which allowed me to be strong in the end game with lots of processed goods to work with. That's it! I hope you found my commentary helpful. Feel free to leave comments below, and happy playing!